I was 18, we were doing our family genealogy, and my grandmother, who I was not really, I mean, I was close, but not that close compared to the rest of the family. And she just sat down next to me and she says, you know, you're not going to understand this now, but you're the one who's going to take care of the family. I'm like, okay. At 18 years old, it's like, okay. But you know, now being in that Kupuna role now, as I'm getting mature, as they say, I don't say old, it's just a number. You know, you tend to see what our Kupuna saw in our Keikis and stuff. So you, as a educator or a mentor, you know, you start to see where they're developing, and you tend to nourish that. And the things that they do and how the feeling that we get from within our na'au, and when we look at this keiki, and you just watch them to grow, and you're just there to just nurture them and guide them and steer them in the right direction. And I think that's what we do. As a kumu hula, you wear many hats. You know, you're an educator, you're teacher, you know, you're 1 minute you're a coach, the minute you're a counselor. We wear many hats, and I think it's just learning to listen to our na'au, or inside, and be able to let that guide us. And for us, it's more listening to the spiritual side. And I think now, especially now with this pandemic, you know, it's many people, and I'm sure you see that in your field, is having a lot of mental issues, you know, because of our new norm right now. Many of them are not used to it, you know, so you have to be the strong one. So that's why sometimes if you see my post, you know, I try not to post anything so much now, is when I'm in the beach or I'm cooking and stuff like that. And it's just trying to uplift people. And sometimes on my posts, you'll kind of see me, if I see something that's kind of hilarious or something funny, is to try to post those, right? So just to kind of uplift them. And that's the reason why I did the Zoom, is because I know people are having their situations or whatever. And it's, in fact, a lot of the parents have been so supportive and actually thanked me for doing the Zoom, because it's given them a new outlook on things, and it's kind of helped themselves, as you know, to focus in on something else rather than what's going on every day, you know. So hula just kind of helps them to get their mind off of things, and it's a physical thing. And you know, and as you know, as doing being physically fit yourself, is you feel so much better when you're working out. Your mind, you know, just is so much clearer, you know. So by doing this with the Zoom, it actually helps them to clear their mind, you know, so that they're not, to keep them out of that depression that some of them may go through.
On a personal level, being a new student of yours and also benefiting from Blaine's teaching, it's been such a tremendous experience for me. It's only been, I think, 2 lessons. And today I was outside recording myself, practicing the movements, and it was a hot mess, but you know, I'm working on it. But I was feeling so connected to home, you know, to being there. And I think that's something you mentioned to me via our private message, is that I think you shared during a class, is that this helps us to be connected to our home, being so far away. And I didn't realize that you just started the Zoom lessons less than a year ago. So this is a new sort of venture for you. Is that right?
Well, I mean, it's been since February.
Yeah.
Actually, March, because April. So February was starting of it. March, we started the first lockdown. And April, I honestly, I actually got kind of depressed, because Merrie Monarch, we were working so hard and everything, such a high. And I'm just like, no, I'm not ready to right now, you know, because they were saying, can we practice? And like that, I needed to get myself back together, because we waited 18 years to get to Merrie Monarch for my women. My men have gone. So I waited 18 years. So it was really one of my goals of getting my women. So it was a shocker for a lot of us. So it took me a while. And then, you know, then we needed, I think what was the turning point for me is because I had to get ready for Keiki Hula. and we needed to do something. And I wasn't about to, you know, it's not about me, you know, as a mentor. It's not about you. It's about, you know, when you have these people depending on you, you know, you have to always be at your best. And I think what always sticks in my head is my kumu had always told me when I first started teaching, he says, don't start something and you're just gonna give it up because you want to do something else. When you do something, especially like this, it's for life. And it's not something that it just whatever you feel. So if you're not feeling it, then it's not about you. You know, this becomes about the people that are depending on you, you know, and looking forward to this. So for you to drop the bomb on them and you know, it's a big disappointment for a lot of them too. So that always stuck in my head. So it's like, okay, I need to get myself together. And I actually started to go to Pahonu, which is a turtle pond. And it's so they were restoring it. And that is when I went there and I realized I started to rejuvenate myself. And because it's on the most east side of the island, you know, that's a new day. So that's a new energy. You know, so it's a different kind of energy when you're in the east end where the sun rises, as opposed to the west end when the sun sets, because out throughout that day, all that energy, so it sets there. But when you're coming for the east side, it's a new day. So it's a lot of new energy. So I use that to help me to heal myself, so I can get back on track. When I watch your videos that you put out, I actually got inspired because I actually was 300 pounds.
Really?
And so I went from a size 44 and I got into a 34. So I've actually lost, yeah, like 55 pounds.
Congratulations.
Well, this was back in 2015, I think was 2015 or something like that, because we're getting ready for Merrie Monarch and I ended up in emergency. And my doctor says, if you don't change your habits, don't expect to, oh, it was 2015. He says, if you don't change your habits, don't expect to see 2016. Because he says you're a walking time bomb right now, and it just kind of set me off. You know, a light bulb came on, and so I actually got into CrossFit. So I actually lost all my weight, and then I ended up having thyroids. And so I was going to the doctor. I'm like, I'm working out every day. I'm going to CrossFit. You know, I'm very active. Why am I gaining weight? And so so, you know, I was getting sluggish and stuff like this. So we did tests. He goes, oh, you have thyroids. So that's why I love it when you do it. And the thing about it is you're humble about it. You know, there's a difference between having that attitude of like, you know, I know I look like this and I know that kind of, but you're totally different. And I kind of felt that. And that's why when we started chatting and you're telling me about home, I'm like, well, why don't you come and join our classes? Because I really feel that that energy level is within that same, you know, that same wavelength and stuff. So that's why I was like, hey, you know, you'd be a perfect for Hālau, you know. And then you're telling me how you're kind of homesick and you wish you had learned it. I'm like, okay, well, this is the best time to do it, you know. So it's a good inspiration.
Thank you for that. I wasn't expecting for you to say that, but I appreciate that so much, because even when I post videos, you know, a couple of people have responded and said, you know, you're starting a thirst trap, or you're, you know, or questioning my motivation, but I've also heard people say that they appreciate what I'm putting out there, because it's not about that. You know, it's really about promoting wellness and wanting to be healthier. And the more that I do it for myself, and I can be accountable to sort of this audience that's out there in the world, right? That at the same time I'm improving, and I'm also helping, that I'm inspiring others along the way. And it sounds very much like what you're doing with your work too.
You know, one thing I was taught, especially by my kupunas, were like, you know, because you're always going to have people that are going to question your motive, or as we say, jealous, because they want what you have. So I was always taught that, you know what, you're not going to be able to please everybody, but as long as you know that what your intentions are doing, who cares what anyone else is thinking? The one that you need to worry about is the person above and yourself. And you have to be like a waterfall. And I went, waterfall? They said, yeah, you know, you just, all these things that come rolling to you negative, you just got to let it roll off. You know, you just got to let it roll off of you, because if not, it's going to bring you down, but that's what they want. You know, when you have negative people, they're going to want to send you negative stuff because they want you, because they can't stand the fact that you're where you're at, because they envy you because they want to be where you're at. You know, so those kind of people, honestly, especially when it comes to Facebook and stuff, I actually block them. I'm like, I don't need your energy, especially with stuff like now. So I actually blocked a lot of people on my Facebook that were very negative, or they're sending, or they're posting all this kind of negative stuff. I just started blocking them, because you know what? We don't need that right now. This is not the time. You know, we need people that are going to help motivate each other, you know, and you don't realize, and again, now you know you have, and you know what? You're not going to be able to satisfy everybody. But if you know that you can, and that's how I feel. If I know that I can touch one person's life, then I've made a difference. If I can do two, then it'll be another difference. And it's an exchange of energy. Yeah. Because so you've inspired me, I've inspired you. So there's that energy, and it just keeps growing. And that's what you want. You know, and you want those people that are part of that energy to be able to flow into that. And those that aren't part of that energy, you want them just to flow out, you know, and it's okay, because, you know, the bottom line is, you feel that you feel that fuel of that energy for yourself, and you're able to express it out, right? That's the best way I can say it.
Thank you for describing it that way. That's really helpful. You know, I talk to all of my clients about enforcing boundaries, you know, to protect themselves and to honor themselves in relationships, in the workplace, and other settings. And the way that you describe that is so helpful, is that we don't need that negative energy. We can say no to it. We can stop it. We can delete it from our life, you know, on social media, but also in our, you know, in our relationships that are in person. You know, we can be able to say, no, this is not for me. This is not serving me. This is not productive for me. And so thank you for reminding me that that is something that we should do. You know, we deserve to actually have good, positive energy in our lives.
Yeah. And you need to. I mean, it just, you know, it's so important now. I mean, the hard part about it, like even with all my students, is they're going through a lot of mental stress. I'm always trying to encourage them, you know, and that's why when I do post stuff, it's usually when I'm at the beach. It's like, you know what, that's where you got to get out. You know, we're so fortunate that we can get to the beach, that we have this kind of weather. You know, why not draw that energy from that? And I always, and even like my sisters who live in Vegas, I tell them, and my niece, you know, they're going through their situations there. I said, you know what, go to the park, because everything has life. If you need to, hug a tree. Hug a tree. You'd be surprised with the energy that comes from that tree. You know, and you know, whether it's, you know, if you have mountains in front of you, I mean, you access to mountains, go to the mountain. Feel that fresh air, and just feel that energy that it has for you. If it's going to the river, or if you have a lake, go to the lake, because it's something that will just nature itself has so much to offer, that sometimes we just need to get out of your four walls, get away from social media, and just hug a tree, hug something, or talk to your plants. You know, when you're watering stuff, talk to your plants, you know, or look for those signs that will give you that comfort. And you'd be surprised, you know, because, and I try to tell them, you know, our spirits and our guides are always with us, but you got to open your eyes, and you have to see them sending you something to tell you that they're there with you. So we have our chest, right, which is our umauma. Women have vayu, vai meaning water, yu meaning milky water, because they bear children, so they're breasts. And then you have your piko, your belly button, and in between your umauma, your chest, and your piko, your belly button, yeah, we have what is our popo, popo. And what that is that, you know, when you're with friends and you're laughing and having a good time, and you're laughing so much, where does it hurt? Because you're laughing so much. Here, your na'au, right? So right about here, this is your nut. And this is where all your feelings, when you're nervous, when you're anxious, or all of your stuff, happy, sad, it comes from here. And that's why some of our motions start from there and they come out here, because from here, it starts from here and it works his body and then it shows in the facial, right? So if they can learn to dig or grab from within, that's where it starts. Yeah. When you can take care of who you are, then that's all that matters, because you're not going to be able to please everybody, and don't even try. And then when you help someone without expecting anything back in return, it comes back to you in tenfold. And I truly believe that. Yeah. So, you know, with local people, they had, you know, everything we did was through nature. Yeah. So we looked at the time frame. Our clock was the sun. Wherever the sun was during that time, we knew the seasons because of how the weathers were, and a lot of times too is where the sun rises, on what part, it kind of gives you the season, but also too, it told us when to plant, when not to plant. But that's how we were. And our ecosystem was so well thought out that we were, you know, we didn't need money, because if you were a fisherman, you took care of your family, but you also took care of your ahupa, or your village, right? So if you were a craftsman, you took care of your family, but then you also took care of everyone else within that. So it was a village taking care of a village, meaning even like it takes a village to raise a child. So it wasn't just one person, it was everybody in that village. So in our olden days was, if you act up and got, you know, naughty in this house, you get lickings, right? But when you went home, you get lickings again. It takes a village to raise our children today, and it does. You know, so it's everybody doing their part. But that's how the Hawaiian system was, you know. So Hanai. So the difference between the modern adoption, you don't know who your mother and family, your family is, because you're adopted away outside of the family, right? So you don't know who they are, and then so that's why sometimes our kids today have issues because of their social upbringing, right? But the difference with Hanai is that if you're usually taken and raised by another family member or someone affiliated with the family member, but not only you know who your parents are that raised you, but you also know who your biological parents. So you know who you are. And I think that's the difference between the difference with our society, is that when you talk about Hanai, the same thing as adoption, these kids are well more grounded. And even in our culture, it's because we are culturally grounded. And there's been a study on it that if you're culturally grounded, 10 to 1, you're going to be more grounded as a person, as opposed to someone has no foundation in culture, because they don't know who they are. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah, thank you for saying it the way that you did.
As the mentors, right? Sometimes we need that assurance, because sometimes you probably guess yourself. It's like, am I on the right path? You know, so and a lot of it is tapping into your spiritual side of yourself. Yeah, because that's what's going to kind of bring you back home to where you need to be, to make sure that you keep grounded and stuff. Yeah. So that's something, and I think with you now getting back into hula, starting to help you get grounded again. You know, as bad as this is happening, it was meant to be, because now it's making everybody rethink who they are, where they need to be, whether it's their family or life in general. It's really bringing them back grounded, you know. But it's sad that we have to lose people in the process, you know. But it's part of life, you know. We just have to do the best we can, and it honestly makes us reevaluate where we are in our life.